For all you counting me out, learn to count, motherfuckers.
This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA. Tonight we'll be going over UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega, going over the entire fight card, thoughts, predictions, parlays, all that good stuff. Fight is taking place in Las Vegas on Saturday, September 25th. The reason I bring that up is because I was supposed to go to that card. Things came up, life shit happens. It was for my birthday. That's my birthday, September 25th. Remember that. Send me shit. But yeah, we're going to start with the first fight of the night, as you should. Some people like to start in the top. I don't. We start at the bottom. But first fight is at featherweight, Omar Morales versus Jonathan JSP Pearce. And currently the odds have it at accurate -150 for Morales. Comeback on Jonathan Pearce is +125. This one, to me, I think it's an easy pick. It's pretty much you're picking the more complete, better striker in Omar Morales, or the recklessness / I guess madman type of power with Jonathan Pearce. And the last time we saw Jonathan Pearce, he has a win over Kai Kamaka, where I picked against him in that one because I thought Kamaka was the better striker, which is ironic because I'm picking Omar Morales, the better striker. But he ended up taking him down and grounded and pounded him out. JSP used his I think I can't remember if he missed weight. One of these two guys missed weight that fight, but he used his what would I call it? His weight, I guess. I don't want to use the word weight, but his fat assery, and he just got on top of him and just pounded him out. It won't be the same against Omar Morales. Omar is just a complete fighter. His last performance was against Shane Young, where he actually improved a lot of my criticism against him. His fight with Giga, he didn't seem to have the proper aggression or just a solid game plan to really defeat the excellent striker that is Giga. And he fought another striker in Shane Young, and then he just looked completely night and day difference to me. Just like small little adjustments that he made in that fight really, really stood out to me. The only issue is that he is 35 years old, fighting at featherweight, and those lighter weight classes, upper in age, can be an issue. So there's a chance that, of course, a Jonathan Pearce fighting at fight ready with God Almighty Henry Cejudo could come in here with a better game plan. My criticisms of JSP is that he, frankly, what I used to call him was just like a hillbilly brawler who'd go in there and try to bang it out with you. He's got a solid chin, even though Joe Lozon cracked him and just big brothered him, and I will never get over that. But I'm not sure about this guy. If I'm going to judge him based off of his most recent performances, because God knows what fight ready is going to do with this guy. I really don't think he's that smart of a guy either when it comes to MMA. I think he's too willing to get into a brawl, and he does try to get it to the ground sometimes if that doesn't work for him in his striking. And I don't think it's going to work with Omar Morales. I think Omar's going to pick him apart. There's a chance he knocks out Jonathan Pearce, but in reality, I see Omar winning this one by a 30-27 decision. So I got Omar Morales by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up catching like a very exhausted JSP, but I do have him to go 30-27 decision.
I'm also going with Omar, but I'm going with Omar because of his freakishly long arms. This guy is 1 inch shorter than JSP, but he has 2.5 inches on him. His reach, that is,
not his cock.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe he does. Who knows?
Now there we're talking like he has 2.5 inches on him, but in girth. so, which I guess I can relate to. But anyway, so he's 6 years older. This guy's from Venezuela. He's 11-1. Yeah, he got the shit beat out of him by Giga, but we saw how good Giga is of a striker. So can't actually wait. I think if I recall correctly, I think we're like during that fight, we're like, yeah, Omar Morales is gonna go in there and beat the shit out of Giga. Nope.
I didn't say that. I specifically said Giga was gonna like go and dance around him. I do. Maybe, what's funny? I think we read the comments. I'm like, that's my opinion that I said. No, we said something different because I got a lot of comments in that one like, oh, Giga's like he lost by split decision to that guy Jamal Emmers, and I'm like, yeah, but he's he can at least get a decision. He's really good at dancing around. Yeah, but he sucks and he should be losing, and then split decision this, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe he does suck. No, he doesn't suck. It's Giga Chikadze. He's pretty fucking good. Did I ever
Yeah.
tell you I met him in an elevator, and I didn't know
No.
I didn't know who the fuck he was. You know what gave it away to me? His bright yellow fucking shoes. I'm like, oh shit, that's Giga Chikadze. And I'm like, oh my god, he's wearing a small beanie. I was like, this guy dresses like a fucking high school kid, dude. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the green odor coming out of his underarms, but no, it's no. So I'm going with Omar just because he's lost to Giga. He's lost to the best. Can't blame him for that. And why not? Let's give him the win here.
Our next bout at welterweight, we've got Semi the Jedi Matt Semelsberger versus late notice replacement Martin Sano. I don't want to waste anyone's time on this one. Matthew Semelsberger by knockout. I'm not sure when he's going to knock out Martin Sano. I would like to think it's round number 1, but when this was announced, I thought to myself, you know what? Do some research on Martin Sano. Is there a shot that he can win this fight? And I watched his last fight in Bellator, Diego Herzog, which is it threw me off. I'm like, is he related to the referee Herzog? But no, he funny enough, he's named after a referee, and it was Frank Trigg that was refereeing his fight, which is like kind of a weird thing. Like an ex-fighter is refereeing a guy with a referee's last name. But anyways, he sucks completely. He absolutely sucks. I didn't like anything that I saw from this guy. There was nothing redeeming about him in this particular fight that I saw that he's possibly going to win. Matthew Semelsberger, dude, I might have my criticisms about the guy, but his fight with Chaos Williams really, really demonstrated that this guy may not be one of the best overall, like maybe a top 10. He's a very solid guy. He's a very good prospect at 28 years old. I was very impressed by the way he took the shots, and I was very, very impressed at how clean the shots he landed on Chaos Williams. And I mean, when I was like looking for pictures of Matthew Semelsberger, I saw pictures of him hitting Chaos Williams so hard that his whole like lips went flying to the side. I was like, damn, this guy. I remember him hitting him hard, but those pictures were surprising. I'm like, damn, he was really landing clean. He is going to knock out Martin Sano. Martin Sano, he is a funky striker. He imagine like a welterweight version of I don't know. Imagine Dominic Cruz if he gained a ton of weight and still tried to do his same style at welterweight. Super slow, super awkward. He gets hit a lot. He will land some punches on you, but it's very insignificant. So on short notice, fighting a guy that hits as hard as Semelsberger, it's unfortunate that Martin Sano is going to lose his consciousness. So I've got Semelsberger round number. I'm going to say round number 1. I don't think no possible way, in my opinion, it's going to go to round number 2. The only way it goes to round number 2 is if Sano runs away from him for the first round, which he might end up doing. But Matt Semelsberger, I think this is a lock to win. I didn't even read the odds. Let's see what the odds are. Not incredibly crazy. Minus 375 for Semelsberger to come back on Sano, plus 300. Should be more, in my opinion, but when you hit the prop bet, it should drop it down nicely. So I've got him to win by first round knockout.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only way that Martin Sano wins is if he manages to get on the Rick and Morty show, get some time machine and travel back to 2013 when he beat Jeff Neal by rear naked choke at the Enemy of the State promotion. From there, he has 2 more wins: Billy Colon, and Clint Roberts, and then he has a few more fights. Takes a break for 4 years from 2017, where he has a draw in Bellator, and then now he's fighting Semelsberger, which is weird. So I don't think this guy. I mean, he has a puncher's chance, I guess, but
I wouldn't even say that, dude. His Semelsberger's chin is good, and I mean, dude, the footage I saw in Sano, I don't know, but he's got like my pillow fists, the most comfortable fists there are out there in the.
Well, no, I mean, he has a puncher's chance in that there's like some insane odds or something, of him landing the perfect punch on Semelsberger, the way, in a way that's never landed on Semelsberger before. Semelsberger has not, had anything like that ever laid on his chin. But yeah, it's astronomical. I mean, I don't want to get into the math because I don't know the math.
Dude, if he somehow wins this fight, I don't know what I would do. I like my reputation's on it that like I'm guaranteeing a knockout. But if he wins, like I know this sport is this sport, but
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, come on now. Like, come on now. No.
Yeah.
Do your research
Yeah.
for yourself, guys. Look at his last fight and you tell me if he's going to beat Matthew Semelsberger. Put it in the comments. Tell me like, oh, there's no chance. No chance at all.
Yeah. No, Semelsberger is gonna take it. Yeah, just by looking at their profile pics on Tapology, Semelsberger is ready to murder him. I mean, Martin Sano, he's just ready to cash his, show check or whatever they call it. His check just to show. Anyway, yeah. So Semelsberger, I'll take him by first round knockout as well. I don't think it's going past the first round.
Our next bout at lightweight, this is a hell of a fight, and breaking it down is going to be pretty interesting. But at 155, Earls, the doctor medic, he's a doctor and a medic, versus Jalen, the tarantula Turner. And currently the odds have it at near pick'em. We have it minus 115 for medic, minus 105 for Jalen Turner. It fluctuates. You can probably get dog money on Jason Turner if you're looking for it. But I really like this fight. And it's an interesting one because with those odds, you get the unknown of Earls Medic. He came into the UFC. Put it to you this way. He started in the Contender Series, looked really, really good, beat the crap out of Mikey Gonzalez, and he looked like an excellent prospect, right? He looked like a guy that was going to come in and dominate. He comes into the UFC, fights Alan Cruz, and he does just that. He goes in there and finishes him incredibly quickly. This guy is a very good striker. He is 28 years old, 6'1", 71-inch reach. Issues with him is that in the past, I can't remember if I faded him or if I said, hey, possibly fade him down the line. I don't really rewatch my own shit. But Alan Cruz, it's a win, right? But knocking out Alan Cruz is like not a big deal in my eyes. Like shit, that's his what's his name? Spike Carlisle. That's his only win in the UFC. And I like Spike a lot, but if you can't knock out Alan Cruz, and shit, you don't belong. And it does show at least Earls belongs. My concerns with Earls Medic is that the aura around him right now, there's a lot of talk about how this guy's like an excellent striker and he's going to dominate the division and all this shit, which is it's a possibility, but there's also the unknown about this guy. And the unknown is how good is his ground game right now. I know in the past when he was fighting in Alaska, his ground game was kind of shitty. It wasn't great. But right now, has it improved? Because Jalen Turner at dog money, I think that's a good play. Jalen Turner, there's a lot to like about this guy. He's 6'3", so he's a taller guy, and he's got a 4.5-inch reach advantage over Earls Merrick. His super long arms, Stretch Armstrong over here, 75.5-inch reach total for Jalen Turner. He's very aggressive on the feet. He's very capable on the ground. He's very tall, very lanky. Dude's very strong. I liked what I've seen from him. I watched some tape on him just recently. Although his wins aren't great either. He technically knocked out Brock Weaver on the feet. He looked really crisp on the feet against Brock, but then he took it to the ground and he submitted him. I really liked what I saw from Jalen. So he had a moment where I think he hit him with the left hook or a right hook. I can't remember on Brock, dropped him, and it could have been a walk-away knockout. He could have gone to the ground and finished him off, but he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let him back up, which is a double-edged sword. And for whatever reason, at that very moment, most of the time I'll be like, no, go finish him. But in that particular moment, I'm like, no, he was right to let him up. In my opinion, you might have a different one. And then finishing him up with strikes on the feet, which I like. I thought that was a pretty smart play. He looked pretty good against Josh Kulabau. Josh Kulabau himself isn't like a top fighter, but he's a very scrappy guy. And the only knock is that he took it on short notice and he fought above his weight class. But there's a lot to like about Jalen. He's very fast with the strikes, very aggressive. Now, if Earls Medic, because we've only seen him in the UFC fight for less than a round, really, less than even half a round. How is he going to look afterwards in the UFC? And that's the biggest question I have for him. For me, it's a dogger pass. Like Earl's Medic could come in here and just wipe the floor with Jalen because he's very aggressive and he'll go out there and just beat the crap out of you. Jalen has been knocked out, but then again, that was at welterweight when he made his debut against Vicente Luque, but Luque is going to Luque. So I'm very intrigued by this one. I want to know what you guys think about this particular matchup, because is there value on Jalen Turner? I think there is, especially for it going over 1.5, over 2.5. I think Jalen could eventually get him out there with a submission after like maybe weathering the storm of Earl's Medic, and then tying him up against the cage, using his height and reach advantage correctly. Like, of course, striking from the outside, closing the distance, tiring him out against the cage, using veteran tactics that Jalen Turner, being the guy with the more experience by what he's 10-5 compared to the 7-0 for Earl's Medic. And again, Earl's has not fought the type of caliber competition that Jalen has. So even in his losses, he has that bit of experience. Now, I'm going to go with Jalen Turner just because I have that hunch. Dogger pass for me, but I'll go Jalen Turner to win this one. I'm going to say a second round submission. I'm not 100% sold on Earl's yet, but this could be his coming out party, because if he keeps up that striking for multiple rounds, I think he's going to be a fun guy to progress in the UFC. But Jalen, being the younger guy with the more experience, I'm on his side. Second round submission by the tarantula. I'm going to say rear naked choke.
Yeah, this is a very interesting matchup. And each guy has their, I think, path to victory. Very interesting. I mean, I would say the guy with more question marks is definitely Uros. I would say if Uros comes out very aggressive, which I believe he will in the first round, and he catches Jalen, I think that'll be his definite path to victory. If it goes over a round, that's pretty tough. I think I would give rounds 2 and 3, if it goes to those. I think I would give it to Jalen. I would say Jalen will come out on top. But it's hard to say without having seen Uros go for a full 3 rounds with a guy with I don't want to say as much experience, but Jalen's been in the UFC for 3 years now. He's had quite a few fights. He's seen quite a bit. So I don't think Uros is going to give him anything, bring anything to the table that he hasn't seen before. But it's going to be more if Jalen can, withstand that storm. Did he train to, kind of go low and slow for 3 rounds? Or did he train, or, is he training for, that storm and then kind of countering it in the second round? So it's tough to say. I'll take a shot in the dark here, and actually, no, never mind. I'm going with Jalen Turner by decision. I think he'll be able to. I think he's had enough experience to where he knows what's coming, and he'll be able to weather the storm. Get not necessarily dominate, but just turn it around in the second and third round, and just get those and just win by 29-28. I think they might make it to the ground. I believe they will. And we'll see what Uros is made of on the ground. No doubt he's tough. No doubt he's, bringing his A game. But, until you see how he goes 3 rounds with the guy who isn't afraid to go to the ground, we'll see what he's made of. But I don't know, he could very well prove everybody wrong and just come in and knock this guy out. So I'm going with Jalen for decision as well.
Our next matchup at middleweight, we've got Nick Maximov versus Carl Baby K Roberson. And the odds currently have this one, they're fluctuating. It's either a dead pick of -110, -110 for each, with a slight lean on other sports book going the Carl Roberson way. I'll go with -125 to +100 for Maximov. It's interesting because I don't know why I thought Maximov would be the favorite in this matchup. He shouldn't be, but something gave me the gut feeling that he would be. Now that changes things a bit because with Carl Roberson, we know what his issues are, right? It's the grappling. His grappling is not the best, but I will say he's actively improving on it. And for Nick Maximov, he is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He trains with some guy out in Stockton, California, and his brother. When you go to his Instagram, I just thought this was funny. He's holding up what appears to be a marijuana smoking device, but it looks like a butt plug. And he's like, very like the angles of it are like, dude, what are you doing up there in Stockton with the brothers from Stockton? Which, man, I'm not impressed by Nick. I've seen some of his footage. He is obviously a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. That is his bread and butter. But his striking, when we saw him in the Contender Series against Oscar Cota, mind you, this was at heavyweight, and he weighed in at, funny enough, 209 pounds, which I think that's no, never mind. That's nothing. But yeah, he weighed in at 209 pounds against like actual fat tubby heavyweight at 265 pounds. He struggled a bit, which is understandable. If he's fighting at middleweight now, him fighting a heavyweight is understandable why he looked kind of sluggish. But his grappling did not look all that incredible. Again, maybe that had something to do with the big fat ass on top of him, kind of dragging his head down. But even when he was on top, he really struggled. His striking looked non-existent. He did not want to strike with the bigger guy. Carl Roberson is a what they call glory level kickboxer, and his kickboxing is solid, man. He's very aggressive, but when he gets taken down, he has a tendency to get choked out. And that's a double-edged sword when you look at it on his record. His last two losses are by submission: Brandon Allen heel hook, Martin Vettori submission. But he has actively worked on his grappling. Now, this is where I'm a little torn as to what I'm going to decide on. Carl Roberson's 9-4, way more experience, fought the way better competition. Martin fucking Vettori, for God's sakes. And of course, Brendan Allen's making his come up again. The issues I have with not Brandon, I'm sorry, with Carl Roberson is that he went to the ground with Brendan Allen willingly. And for whatever reason, he was so overconfident, it seemed, on the ground that he should have just kicked away for dear life and just avoided the leg, the 50-50. But he seemed too content down there. Like, yeah, I've been training grappling. I got this. Gets heel hooked, which is like, what the fuck is that? Is he going to try that again with Nick? Because there's obviously the possibility he's going to get not knocked out. I'm sorry. He's going to get submitted. And yeah, that concerns me. So there's a chance, of course, that if you go the Nick Maximov side, you can see him easily exploit Carl Roberson. But it's so hard for me to pick against Carl. And I've picked him multiple times, actually within, his last fight, I picked him to win against Brendan Allen, and he disappointed. And that's what I'm afraid of. He's going to be disappointing me again. But I do think he wins this fight. I think he has obviously the better striking. I think he's just a better fighter right now. But of course, Nick has that like level, I guess, 8 jiu-jitsu out of 10. If he gets it to the ground, or if he gets in a scramble with Carl Roberson, if he tries a lazy takedown and gets it, Carl's going to be in a world of shit. And that's what does concern me, that possibility. But I see this actually going that Carl's going to keep it on the feet, batter up Nick, avoid the takedowns, stuff the takedowns. We'll see how good of a shape Nick comes in here, but I suspect his cardio is not going to be UFC caliber quite yet. He's going to probably rely heavily on getting that submission early. I haven't seen his hands as of late, so maybe he's going to come in here with that Stockton style boxing. So who knows? But if he does try that, I can see Carl knocking him out and just putting his lights out. I will go with Carl to win this one. I'm going to say round number 3. I think he gets a stoppage eventually. Nick is going to continuously try to take him down, which he may get. But I think Carl, if he can get up and show like, hey, I can get up from getting taken down by Nick Maximov, that would be the sign to maybe live bet and go with Carl Roberson all the way. But I've got Carl to win this one by a 3rd round TKO.
Yeah, this one was tough looking at it just because, well, it's just funny because you have a mediocre, grappler coming in against a somewhat mediocre striker, or rather a grappler with mediocre striking, with a mediocre striker with kind of subpar grappling. Oh man, it's tough when Carl gets submitted and then he's coming up against this guy who's trying to be a jiu-jitsu guy, but if you look at his record, man, his grappling record, he lost submission underground against who the hell knows who these guys are. Gustavo Pires, Tanner Weisgram. He beat Joey Elsmore, Joaquin Holmes. Like, he's done a lot more grappling bouts, yes, but he hasn't won.
I suspect highly that Stockton name values was kind of boosting him up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. At this point, I don't think his 6-0 merits any sort of favoritism his way. I think Roberson has enough in his arsenal to counter whatever this guy's going to bring, because Nick isn't exactly the next Damian Maia from what I can see. I'm pretty sure he's going to have Nate in his corner, trying to pronounce S's and whatnot. But his lists aside, I guess I'm pretty sure they're training him as best they can. But I think Roberson, with a few leg kicks, some well-placed, hard strikes in the first round, will make him wary. And then 2 minutes in, he'll probably want to start grappling and whatnot. But I'm taking Roberson. I think he has enough to stay away from dangerous positions. Hopefully he's learned. He's actually been like, hey, maybe I guess I need to train, jiu-jitsu. At least jiu-jitsu defense, for the most part. I don't know if he's going to be a jiu-jitsu whiz and start submitting guys himself, but as long as he's been training some jiu-jitsu defense, I think he should be okay. So I'll take Roberson. I don't think it'll be the most exciting fight, but it'll just be funny, seeing Nate Diaz shout at this guy, hey man, go for the legs, go for the something or others. And Nick being like, what are you saying, bro? I don't understand. Stop lisping so much.
I think he speaks perfect Diaz by now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the middle, they're gonna have this is UFC 265. Yeah, so they're gonna have a crowd, man. They're gonna have a bunch of people, mock lisping from the crowd, and it's gonna be like, I don't know which lisp to pay attention to, so it's gonna confuse them. So that's probably gonna be one of the things that'll add to his downfall. But yeah, so Roberson, Killer Bee Academy, is going to one-up the Nick Diaz Academy.
Next up at flyweight, we've got a bout between Manon the Beast Fiorot versus Shitara Mara Bueno Silva. Currently, the odds on this one are, holy shit, minus 275 for Manon, come back on Silva plus 225. And as we like to play, is there value on the women's MMA underdog? I think there is. This one's tricky for me. After, I faded Manon Fiorot every single official fight that I've recorded. I know the last one was a short notice bout, which, of course she's going to beat up Tabitha Ricci's ass. But she was going to fight Myra Moraes, and I actually picked Myra to win that one just because I wasn't fully sold on Manon. The things that I like about Manon Fiorot is that she's very aggressive. She is she does the tennis sounds like Caitlin Chukagian, but when she throws, she actually lands the punches, which is like, oh wow, she yeah, and then I'm like, oh shit, she actually landed a punch. That's very refreshing. Myra Bueno Silva, her last fight was interesting. I watched it. She looked pretty solid against Montana De La Rosa, and she bloodied her up, but Montana gets, bloodied up. She lost a crucial point. Had she not lost this point, she would have won the fight 29-28. But yeah, she grabbed the fence and, she lost the point. She lost the ability to win anymore. She has been a bit hot and cold for me. Like, she actually lost to Myra Moraes. That was her only loss in the UFC and only loss period. And that was concerning. That was also a striker. So the way I thought of it, I'm like, man, is there value in Mayra Bueno Silva if she's fighting another striker? I would say similar caliber to Manon Fiorot, but Manon's way more aggressive and she goes after you. If she sees that you're hurt, she will pour those punches on. Now, her footwork's pretty solid. I thought maybe Mayra can hold her up against the cage, tire her out. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I really want to see value on Mayra, but I don't know if there's going to be any. Yes, she could win jiu-jitsu, of course, taking her down, tiring out Manon. But the way Manon's been fighting in the UFC, I don't know if this is their first loss in the UFC. I know it's going to come because I'm not 100% on the Fiorot train. I see holes in her game, Kevin Lee style, but I don't think Myra's going to be the one that exposes them. I see Manon actually winning this fight by a second round TKO. I see Mayra not being too comfortable on the feet. Granted, Myra is not the worst striker in the female flyweight division. She's pretty solid. When she gets you in the clinch, she will throw knees. But when it comes to Manon Fiorot and her aggression, her competency on the feet, I'll give her this. When she throws a punch, she throws it intentionally with conviction, with power. Like she intends to do damage with these punches, opposed to like some girls who just kind of like throw just to feel very Caitlin Chukagian-esque. Like they throw a lot of feeling punches. This girl's gonna fucking throw a punch to try to knock you out or to seriously hurt you. So I'll go with Manon Fiorot. I see her keeping Mayra Bueno Silva at bay. When she rushes in, I see her reversing position. Like if she tries to go for the underhooks and push her up against the cage, I see her reversing, maybe landing an elbow that will hurt Mayra Bueno Silva, maybe disengage, throw a kick from afar. I just see her having a very almost masterpiece-esque striking performance on the feet against Mayra Bueno Silva, and then she's going to have she's going to second guess herself, and then she's going to make a mistake, and I think Manon's going to catch her with something, whether an uppercut, a knee, just whatever she wants. I got Manon to win by a second round knockout TKO.
I'm actually going with Mayra on this one. With the three, what is it? First, middle, and last name. I thought when I first saw this matchup, I was like, oh Jesus! I thought it was Mara Romero Borella.
Yeah, you get them confused too, right?
Yeah. I had to do a second take, and I was like, wait, let me look at her record and let me look at a few other things. But I'm like, oh no, this is Mayra Bueno Silva. Okay, it's not Mara Borella. We're one of those, with 3, 4 names, whatever. I think she's actually. I'm actually going with Mayra, but I'm actually taking her submission in the second round. I think she'll be able to weather the storm. I think is it Manon? Manon. Yeah, I think she's gonna come. She's gonna bring the heat in the first round. Her default, her profile picture and topology. Yeah, she's definitely looking like she wants to bring the heat. But I think Mayra's gonna have the ground game to take her out. I think she is going to catch her by, I'm going to say, armbar.
So I was thinking, I think you might have a shot there. If anything, if she does catch her with something, I think the armbar might be the live.
Yeah, I think she's fought. I think, honestly, I think she's fought the better competition so far. Not great competition. But she did beat, Jillian Robertson by armbar. That was crazy. Not that Jillian is, funny thing. I actually confused Jillian Robertson with Lauren Murphy for some reason.
Oh, I don't know who you're insulting.
Yeah, no, man. Whenever I see them, I'm like, wait, isn't Jillian Robertson Lauren Murphy, or isn't Lauren Murphy? Isn't she Jillian Robertson? Anyway, but I actually believe Mayra Bueno Silva's BJJ skills are going to get her a win here. So I'm taking her by decision. By submission.
Our next bout, also women's flyweight. We've got the Happy Warrior Roxanne Modafferi versus Talia Santos, and the odds are, holy hell, -400 for Talia Santos. Come back on Roxanne, the hype train killer Modafferi, +310. Now, question is, are you going to take a obligatory shot on Roxanne to derail another hype train, or are you going to go with the logical choice of Talia Santos by knockout in the second round? Because that's my pick. Talia Santos has demonstrated that she is the real deal in this division. Striking is good, grappling is good. I think last I checked, she was a blue belt or something like that. I know she was not a black belt like Jillian Robertson, and she was able to just control and dominate Jillian on the ground. And it deflated me on the Jillian Roberts is like the grappler of the division for the ladies type of notion, because I was trying to give her respect. I've never really been high on Jillian, and I actually bet her against Talia. I'm like, yeah, her black belt's going to be better than Talia's. Either I can't remember if it was blue or purple, forgive me, but it's a lesser than a black belt for damn sure. Takes her down, controls her from the top. I'm like, holy crap, damn, I gotta stop. Got to stop disrespecting Talia Santos like that. And she destroyed Molly McCann. She cost a lot of people money in that fight. I think Molly was the favorite, significant favorite in that bout. Her only hiccup was, looky here, a split decision loss to Myra Borellos Romero, who we just discussed. And yeah, that was the reason for a lot of people kind of fading her against Molly McCann. I'm like, if you're going to lose to Myra Borello Romero, yeah, that's the three names. It's like, yeah, you probably don't belong in the UFC. Proved us wrong. Whatever hiccup that was, she's past that. Maybe she needed that loss to motivate her more. She's on, I think she's on fire right now. I don't see a way Roxanne can beat her unless she, like, I don't know, blows her fucking knee mid fight and gets dominated on the ground. Roxanne, we know what's wrong with Roxanne, right? She gets punched too much, and she's a heavy grappling heavy fighter. That's her main, I guess, path to victory. And as I mentioned in last week's episode, her right hand's not too bad, but when it comes to Talia Santos being just a more experienced striker with the Muay Thai, Roxanne, 39 years old compared to 28 years old. Funny enough, Roxanne has 1 inch reach advantage over Talia. Hopefully that doesn't come and bite me in the ass, but like, oh no, that punch would have not landed had she not had an inch reach advantage that knocked out Talia Santos. That would suck so much, but I've got Talia to just destroy Roxanne. Roxanne, as much as I respect her for her just overall tenacity, she was let go in the UFC. She came back, she fought for the title, didn't go her way, got wins, derailed a lot of hype trains. Respect where it's due for Roxanne Modafferi. But if she did, well, I'll say this: if she derails another hype train, I don't know. I will get a picture of Roxanne and I will frame it in my wall of fame that I have behind me. But I've got Talia to win this one by a second round knockout. I think Roxanne is tough. I think she can take a punch. First round might be a little dicey. I know Roxanne's going to do her damnedest to try to get it to the ground, which she might be successful on. Talia's going to pop right back up, and it's going to show why she is the minus 400 favorite. So I've got her to win second round knockout.
Yeah, here Roxanne is the female Sam Alvey. She's just, her record is, if you're gonna go by her record, she's due for a win here, and she's, set to derail the hype train that is Talia Santos. But I think this is probably the one where her, win loss record. Yeah, she's at the point where everybody's pretty in on it that she's not really UFC caliber in terms of seeing her actually challenge for the title again. She challenged once, but that was just due to that contest, tough or whatever.
Yeah, and even then she got the title because Sarge Eubanks missed weight.
Yeah, and oh wow, her birthday was 39 years 1 day, so birthday was a day ago. But yeah, dude, at 39 years, she hasn't, made it to the absolute top. I don't think she will. She's not a Glover Teixeira where she's gonna have a second, like good run in the UFC and be like, oh shit, she's gonna, start submitting and she's gonna become a tank all of a sudden. It's not really her. I think Talia's shown that, that fight against Mara Borello was somewhat of a fluke. Maybe she was unprepared. Maybe she didn't really take the fight seriously. Who knows what exactly happened there? But she's shown that she's ready to take those giant biceps of hers to the very top. And looks like Roxanne Modafferi is her next victim. I think I don't think she'll be able to finish her, but I think she'll be able to dominate at least 2 rounds. With Roxanne, she's able to mix in her awkward takedowns, for lack of a better phrase. She's just awkward in general. She's like a mix of Jake Shield, Sam Alvey. Weird, bad footwork, but she somehow makes it work. So I think she'll be able to at least get 2 rounds, if not dominate all 3 rounds. Unless she gets taken down and can't get back up for some reason. But yeah, I'm taking Natalia by decision here. Pretty steep though. If it is women's MMA, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think it's maybe worth adding to a parlay.
Our next bout at heavyweight. This fucking fight has been postponed so goddamn much, and I'm tired of breaking it down. Shamil versus Chris. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. No. I got to give the odds. So the odds are Chris Daukaus minus 175. Pretty solid odds in my opinion, especially for what's going to happen to Shamil. Shamil plus 145. As we just mentioned, Shamil is older than Roxanne Modafferi against Chris Daukaus, who is a sniper with them hands, that Philly boy with them hands. Chris Daukaus, round number 1 knockout. Shamil, as we brought it up multiple times, he has the ability to win this one. Yes, there's a shot that he wins this fight, but I am probably going to go all in on Chris Daukaus. I don't want to say max bet, but I'm going to put some money on Chris Daukaus by TKO knockout. Would suck if this is his only decision win, but I think Shamil, to be fair, his chance to win this fight is by knockout. Just catching Chris Daukaus with something he's not expecting. It's fun to try to speculate what could happen in these fights because you have these expectations. I expect Chris Daukaus to go out there and knock out Shamil, the 40-year-old Russian, getting him out of the UFC with no problem. But fucking fighters, man. I don't know if he's gonna come in here with like, I'm fighting for a title my next fight, or some type of big head bullshit from Chris Daukaus, and he does not look as sharp. Then yeah, it's gonna suck me losing that money, and I'm gonna blame it all on Chris Daukaus. But Chris Daukaus should win this one. His skill has been proven. He has been knocking dudes out in the first round consistently. His power, his speed, for a guy that size, man, he's 300 or 234 pounds. Relatively small on the heavyweight scale, really, but that's really good for his speed and his ability to just stay on the outside, just move in and out, catch people with those combinations. Shamil's going to try to like either bum rush him or try to take him down. Chris Daukaus is a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner. We haven't seen it yet because he hasn't needed to do anything with the jiu-jitsu. He's just been knocking dudes out. He's going to add another Russian to his hit list. Chris Daukaus, round number 1, knockout.
Yeah, but at this point, I think, it should be Daukaus versus Shamil 3 or 4. This should be this should be the trilogy fight already. Jesus. I think I've talked about this previously. I'm not changing my pick. I'm going with Chris Daukaus. And I'm taking him by TKO in the 2nd round.
Next bout at lightweight. Fantastic end to the prelims. We've got Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Nasrat Haqparast. And, normally we would make fun of Nasrat. He's got a funky nipple, looks a lot like Kelvin Gastelum, but his mother just recently died, which, like, that sucks for this guy. Really, my heart goes out to him. Hopefully, there's talks that he doesn't want to pull out of this fight. There's a possibility he might, though. There might be a lot of people in his ear not to take this fight. It's a very tough fight, even without having that emotional weight on top of you. So we'll see what happens with this one. But currently, the odds have it at Dan Hooker minus 190. Haqparast comes back plus 155. And although I don't really like to bring up those type of, personal issues that he's having, but will that really impact Nasrat to have a built-in excuse if he loses, if he's not mentally there? It's a possibility. Or is this going to fuel him to have the best performance of his life with like a rage built in him, just to make his mom proud? So that's something to keep in the back of your head if this fight does end up happening. But with this one, it's really hard not to go with Dan Hooker, even without that whole personal issue. Dan Hooker, I think he's just fought the way better competition. He's lost to the better competition, of course, but he's been in there with Michael Chandler, former champion, Dustin Poirier, former champion, Paul Felder. He's been in there with Ali Alquinta, former title challenger, knocked out James Vick, for God's sake. Well, that's not really much to bring up, but he gets my support for knocking out James Vick. As for Nasrat, he got knocked out by Drew Dober, and that's always a big concern. And he's on a 2-fight winning streak, fighting guys that at this point I have to say they don't belong in the UFC. Alex Munoz, although I thought he won his last fight, he needs some seasoning. He needs to grow up a little bit more outside of the UFC. Rafa Garcia, piece of shit. That's all I have to say. Look at his record, his previous fight. But with this fight, man, Dan Hooker, he's known to get in those wars. It's a 3-round fight. He's got 3-round fight cardio. If it's a 5-round fight, even then I still pick him, but there's more of a chance that Nasrat wins this one if it was a 5-round fight. But Hooker's issues have always been the cardio. He goes so hard sometimes, but I see him eventually catching Nasrat. And I predict the knee. I predict the knee up the middle. Nasrat's got some great hands. He's got some solid boxing. He's a solid fighter. He's a young guy, very solid prospect, but I don't see how he wins this fight. There's too many things against him going into this fight. And Dan Hooker, I think he's very motivated to come back in here and just get back on the win streak. And he's taller guy, 6 foot tall, 75.5-inch reach compared to 72 for Nasrat. It's really hard not to go with Dan Hooker. I think Nasrat can win it if he has the best performance of his life, which, it happens sometimes. TJ Dillashaw versus Barao, one excellent performance and comes back and has an even better performance and staples himself as like, hey, I'm here. For Nasrat, I don't think this is going to be his night, unfortunately for him, but I've got Dan Hooker to win. I'm going to say a 2nd-round knockout. I think he's going to catch him with the knee. I think he's going to see how Nasrat escapes the exchanges when he throws a high kick. If I was Dan Hooker, I would throw a high kick to see how he defends and how he rolls with it. If he's going to roll like with his chin down or what the hell he's going to do. And then I would time a knee up the middle and get that knockout. So I've got Dan Hooker to win by 2nd-round TKO knockout.
Yeah, this is. I think the cards are stacked against Nasrat here. Dan Hooker, he's lost 2 out of his last 5 fights. He was on a roll until he ran into Poirier and Chandler. I think he got overly confident with Chandler. He got a little lazy, in the opening round. And he didn't, I guess maybe he expected, to have a little bit of a feeling out process, but Chandler just came straight at him. I don't think Nasrat is going to have the same approach, nor do I believe Nasrat has the grit of Poirier. I don't think they're going to have the type of exchanges, where Nasrat is going to come at Hooker, like Poirier, with his combos. I don't think he has the same type of boxing and whatnot. This is going to be a tough fight for Nasrat to come over with a victory with. I think Hooker's, not just because he's set for a victory, but I think they set him up with Nasrat, so he can get back up on there, just because Nasrat hasn't exactly fought the best competition compared to Hooker. So I think Hooker is going to come away with at least a decision, for sure. For sure a decision, but very possible he might get that TKO maybe in the 2nd, 3rd round. He might wear out Nasrat. It's worth a sprinkle, but for sure I think it's worth adding Hooker to a parlay. So I'm also taking Hooker. Can't say hooker enough, but I will.
And just to show how stacked this card is, I said that was the end of the prelims. That's not the end of the prelims. This is the end of the prelims. Marlon Magic Moraes versus Merab the Machine Dvalishvili. Holy shit. Like, I forgot about this fight. I'm like, oh my God, what a crazy, crazy card. I kind of regret not going. I canceled my tickets. I had them ready to go, and I ended up canceling them like last minute because I'm like, nah, it's going to cost me too much to go out there.
This is a pretty damn stat card.
Yeah, man. I know, man. What a bitch I am. But currently the odds have it minus 225 for Merab comeback on Marlon Moraes plus 190. And man,
well, before you go into detail, even the shitty fights are actually going to be pretty good. Even I should say, even the shittiest fights on the card are actually pretty good, and that is to say, the women's fights, most of the women's fights, being that they're not the best on the card, but even so, they're still, I think going to be action packed. But anyway,
this one though, I have my doubts if this one's going to be like as action packed, just because Merab is, looking. Peter Yan put it the best. As much as I like Merab, he is a decision machine. He consistently gets decisions in the UFC. He's number 10 in the UFC now after decisioning a shit ton of people. Gustavo Lopez for one, Casey Kenny, John Dodson, Cody Stamen, and his Cody Stamen fight. A lot of people picked Cody to be like, yeah, I think Cody's going to be the guy that actually beats Merab, but Merab is just literally that takedown machine. Like, he will get at least one takedown per fight, at least, and that's like a guarantee almost. For Marlon Moraes, he's on this funky skid, right? He's on a 2-fight losing streak. Both times got knocked out, and Corey Sandhagen knocked him out with a wheel kick and punches. Rob Font knocked him out with punches. His biggest issue always, he is a round one fighter or bust kind of guy, right? He has very shitty cardio, because at that weight class, man, 135, he cuts a ton of weight. He is shredded to the bone, and he just does not possess that kind of cardio. In the first round or two, he looks amazing, right? Very dynamic, very explosive, but he does diminish. And what does that rhyme with? Dvalishvili almost. I've got Merab to win this one by decision. He could get in some trouble. Marlon's very dynamic with those kicks. He throws a head kick, tries to knock out Merab, might rock him, might wobble him. Marlon's also a very solid grappler as well. He choked out Rafael Dos Anjos, so let's not forget that. And of course, but Merab got choked out cold by Ricky Simon, which is hell of a weird fight after Merab dominated the whole fight. But there's a possibility that could happen. I really doubt it. Merab training with Sarah BJJ, he's progressed a lot. He's improved a lot. His striking has gotten a lot better. He's not just a takedown machine, but he is a takedown machine. Marlon, unless he's made some incredible improvements on that gas tank and his chin has recovered fully, which I don't know, man, with those weight cuts, but I've got Merab to win this one by clear-cut decision. I would say at the very, very least, split decision going Merab's way, multiple takedowns, exhausted Marlon Moraes in the third round. First round's going to be kind of hairy with Marlon being the magic man and all, but Merab for sure gets two scorecards in his name. Magic man got you. Yeah.
I just remembered. Cejudo's antics of him wearing the magician's hat and cape for their weigh-in.
Yeah, it never fails to get a chuckle out of you when I bring that up. The magic man.
Yeah, that Cejudo, dude, that guy's antics. Oh man, when I was like, why is during the weigh-ins, I didn't think twice about it. I was like, why is he wearing the cape and the hat and doing the whole the whole magician act, and he's pulling a rabbit and kicking it, and I was like, that's weird. Until I was like, Oh, that's got, I didn't even know that was his nickname until then. I was like, the Magic Man. But sorry, man. It's just well, you know what? Technically, he should be on a 4-fight losing streak. Just because I do not think he beat Aldo back in 2019. So it's not looking real good for the Magic Man here. Dvalishvili is not going to come in to knock him out. He's just going to come in and dominate him. He might get a few takedown stoppages in the first round, but Dvalishvili, he's just that. He's a machine. He is not going to stop, man. He's going to get tired. He is going to end up on the ground probably halfway through the first, all the way up to the third. So I think he's just going to, unless he comes out, and bangs with Dvalishvili in the first round, somehow takes the 10-9 in the first round, second and third round, for sure, he's going to be exhausted, man. Dvalishvili is just going to come at him with everything he's got. And yeah, man, he's done. So I'm going to take Dvalishvili by decision as well. But that's crazy, man. This guy, after this one, like I said, he should technically be on a 4-fight, and with this loss, he's going to be on a 5-fight win streak. But I guess he's going to losing streak. So he's going to be 4-1 in his last 5 after this one. Not looking good, man. So Marlon is probably headed to bare knuckle or Bellator pretty soon.
Oh shit! I don't think he can handle bare knuckle, but so probably Bellator.
Well, no, you never know. What's his name? Is it the Pitbull or Bulldog guy?
Oh, Thiago Alves.
What's his name? Thiago Alves is a champion there, I think.
Is he? I don't know if he's a champion, but I remember his fight was ridiculous. His latest fight, I forgot who he fought, but it was like, holy shit, Thiago, you're the man, baby.
I think he's a champion. Yeah, man. You guys out there, check him out. He's probably, yeah, dude. He's a champion. Lombard is a champion.
Oh shit, there. Lombard is a champion.
Yeah.
God damn, that's what you proved me wrong. Yeah, he might be champion in bare knuckle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to bare knuckle. He's going to be like, oh shit, yeah, my voice doesn't go that high, so.
And before we begin the main card, I'd like to ask, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Recently, a couple things came about. Carlos Condit retired, and I brought it up a ton of times. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. Fantastic career. Beat Nick Diaz. He beat Nick Diaz. You hear me? He destroyed Nick Diaz. He knocked out Nick Diaz. Go find me on SureDog and complain to me about Diaz 1, 3, and 5 or whatever the fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, sucks to see him go, but I think it was his time. Last fight was against Max Griffin. It didn't go his way. He didn't look completely, outgunned, but that late round takedown is what got him in that fight. But yeah, I'm just hoping the best for him. Secondly, and I know this is not MMA related, but I bring it up just because I feel obligated to. Norm Macdonald passed away. And for those of you who don't know, that's a comedian, started off really getting big in SNL, did a lot of stuff with Conan O'Brien, had his own shows, multiple movies. Frankly, one of my favorite comedians. And I don't say that like trying to jump on a bandwagon. This is a guy that I consistently watch his clips on the I'm Not Norm channel, almost on a daily, weekly basis. Sometimes I go back and rewatch some of his old bits just for like catching up. Yeah, it sucks to hear. He is one of the guys that really got me into doing comedy. If you haven't really paid attention to some of the shit I say, I do fancy myself a bit of a comedian. I did improv for multiple years, and he's a guy that kind of got me into that and kind of made me, I should say, molded me into the kind of comedy style that I like. You might notice some of the stupid shit that I post as comebacks or responses on the comments. I try to be, kind of fun. I don't really care what people say to us. It's all fun and games to me. But yeah, when I do respond or I do post like a shitty joke on the description of the video, Like I try to think like, oh, what would Norm do? And it sucks to see him go. Yeah.
One interesting thing. Yoel Romero is making his Bellator debut against what's his name? Something Davis.
Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah. Pink shorts. Yeah, Phil Davis. That's it.
Yeah.
Pink shorts Davis. He's the equivalent of a pink shirt Homer in The Simpsons. So anyway, so I think that's a bad matchup for Romero because Phil Davis he's not exactly Dvalishvili level, in terms of constant takedowns, but I think he's, I guess, out of his age and his weight class, the closest thing they have to that. So yes, Romero, 20 some odd years ago was Olympic level. He has whatever credentials, but I don't know if he can withstand Davis's striking as well as his takedown attempts and whatnot. So I think Davis is going to take it tomorrow. He's probably going to get a decision. I don't know if he'll be able to knock him out or whatever, or even submit him. That'll be an interesting fight to watch.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. Just because, I think Davis takes it pretty easily. His chin is pretty legendary. You don't hear too much about Phil Davis's fucking chin. He's taken shots from a lot of power punchers. Mainly, he ate a ton of shots from Anthony Davis. They say Anthony Davis from Anthony Johnson, like nothing, and he still stayed conscious. So you got to respect that man's chin. And just to add, just because I think it's funny, I think I do a pretty good Yo Romero impression, only in Spanish. So when he speaks Spanish, it's like very clearly Yo Romero. Leave a comment if you want me to start busting out the pretty decent MMA impressions. Then let's just continue with this main card.
I'm actually looking. I'm actually very excited about the opening match of this card. FYI.
To begin the main card, the opener is Jessica Bata Escata, aka Pile Driver, which is funny considering she's a lesbian. Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. That's actually her full name. Jessica Bata Escapa, aka Pile Driver, which is funny considering she's a lesbian. Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. And the odds currently have this one at minus 275 for Andrade. Come back on Calvillo. They say Calvillo plus 210. And I don't want to spend too much time on this one because it's women's MMA. It's a higher level version of women's MMA, but we've got one person that clearly belongs and one that should not be in the same room as the other. Cynthia Calvillo, her only shot is to take this to the ground. Jessica Andrade is not going to let that happen. Jessica's just too powerful. She's going to outpower Cynthia Calvillo. And it's crazy. I didn't realize how old Cynthia was. She's 34 years old compared to Jessica, who's actually 30. And yeah, man, she may be the smaller girl. She may have the lesser reach, but that's not going to matter when she gets popped in her mouth. Man, she nearly knocked out Rose again in her second fight. The first one, props to her for slamming Rose on her fucking head, but that is what it was. I don't want to say it was a fluke, but I don't hold that in such high regard as like, oh, what a great performance from Jessica. She was getting her ass beat that entire fight. The second fight, I'll give her those props because she almost had Rose out of there. And you can see a clear like jump from the first fight with Rose to the second one. And maybe Rose kind of diminished a little bit, but maybe not. I'm just going to give Jessica the props. Jessica's going to win this one any way she wants, man. When girls try to take her down, it doesn't go well for those women. And Cynthia, although she can take the back and maybe control Jessica, I do not see that happening. Jessica's too strong, too powerful. And I would love to see her slam Cynthia on her fucking head, but I don't think that's going to happen. I actually even picked second round TKO for Jessica. Again, I'd love to see it, but I think she actually wins this one by decision. I think Cynthia, this is not the fight for her. I don't know if she thinks she can win this one, if she has an ace up the sleeve that we don't know about. Maybe Uriah is going to let her borrow his chin. I don't know, but we'll see. But Jessica, I think she wins this one. She's going to batter Cynthia up pretty bad and just win this one by a decision.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed Jessica's fights, but now I can say I'm one of her biggest fans after her OnlyFans pic leaks. I will never look at her the same again. I'm gonna print out those pictures and just have them hanging, tape them next to the TV so I can look at her expression as she's fighting. Especially like that expression where she's kind of looking confused, but also looking at the camera erotically. That's my favorite one. But anyway, that aside, yeah, that's crazy, man. I thought Cynthia Calvillo was younger, but that's wild. Jessica Andrade is only 30 years old. I would have thought it was the reverse, but Jessica's gone through some wars, man. She is levels above Cynthia Calvillo for sure. I mean, Cynthia Calvillo, like you said, Cynthia Calvillo's realistically only shot is to catch her in a submission, but Jessica Andrade, she's way too strong to be caught in any submission. She'll like rampage, slam her like he did Ricardo Arona. Before she gives up the submission, an arm bar or whatever, or a triangle, I should say. So we very well may have the first triangle slam in women's history. This coming Saturday, whenever the hell this thing is, on the 25th.
Yes, sir. Dude, I would kill to see that. I would really relish. That'd be the greatest birthday gift. Jessica Andrade, triangle choke, locked in, picks her up, slams Cynthia on the ground, knocks her out cold. I'd be like, yay.
And then she poses next to her, with that expression from the picture.
Oh man, I gotta say, my respect went up for Jessica. Usually when girls post shit like that, it goes down, but it looked like she did not give a fuck. She's like, there I am. I'm not gonna wear any makeup or do anything to make myself look super hot. It's like, this is me, baby. And I'm like, I respect that. Good for her.
Yeah, I would totally respect the hell out of her if I met her. But Jessica's gonna take it here for sure.
Our next bout at heavyweight, we've got the return. I don't know how they got Curtis Blaydes back from the dead. I don't know what kind of seance they used, but Curtis Razor Blaydes versus Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. Currently, the odds have it, damn, minus 300 for Blaydes, come back on Rozenstruik, plus 250. And we already know this fight, right? This is exactly like Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis. But is this time who's going to get on the mat first? Is it going to be Jairzinho Rozenstruik on his ass or Curtis Blaydes on his back? Because, man, Rozenstruik, he punches hard, man. He's no scrub when it comes to the power punches. The only issue with Jairzinho is that his record's a little spotty right now. Although he's only lost twice in the UFC, both to the champion and the interim champion, Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. It's like his performances sometimes do not live up to the expectations that we have of Rozenstruik. His combinations can be really crisp. He lays back too damn much. He nearly got taken down multiple times by Cyril Gane, of all fucking people. And the opposite also could be said about, or not the opposite, but the same could be said about Curtis Blaydes. This guy, his fight with Derek Lewis, man, he should have won that fight. And I still to this day believe he was winning. He just made a stupid mistake. He ducked for, I can't remember if it was a single leg on the power side of Derek Lewis, got uppercutted to hell. And now he lost a possibility for a title shot, thus him fighting Rozenstruik. And what bothered me the most is that you knew Curtis Blaydes was so uncomfortable striking with Derek Lewis that he was like always not necessarily teasing the takedown, but you knew it was coming. You absolutely knew it was coming, so much so that Derek Lewis caught him coming in, of course. But he was doing really well on the feet. He was actually leg kicking the shit out of Derek Lewis. He was even landing some punches on him. And for whatever reason, he decided to stray away from that formula because although he was successful, he was winning, but he was uncomfortable, shoots a terrible takedown, gets caught. Jairzinho knows that's going to possibly be a way for him to win, is to catch him with something. But with Jairzinho, he's very dynamic. He can catch him with the knee, catch him with the uppercut, catch him with the whatever. He has the power to knock out Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes has taken a lot of punishment. All of his losses are to power punchers. I was going to say black power punches. And, he's been knocked out 3 times in total. Well, I guess I should say the first TKO was to Francis, which was, I believe, a doctor stoppage via, if I remember, it was a swollen ass eye. But is his chin going to hold up? We don't know, but I do have to go with Curtis Blaydes. I think as long as he comes into the fight without that hesitancy, without that fear of going for the takedown, and as long as he sets them up correctly, I think he's going to give Jairzinho a lot of trouble. Jairzinho, I see him, despite him getting a nasty win against Augusto Sakai and knocking him out, and he's been way more aggressive, and he's talked about that. I think he is going to go back to his old tricks when he gets put on his ass. I think he's going to be too afraid, and then I should say he's going to be too afraid to try to be too aggressive, because that duck under and that double leg from Curtis Blaydes is going to be right there for him to take. But man, I've been bitten in the ass before by Curtis. So, sprinkle a little money on that Jairzinho knockout prop just for funsies. But I got Curtis to win this one. Now, I will say this. He more than likely should win by decision. But assuming Curtis Blaydes really wants to get a shortcut back to the title, he's going to have to absolutely decimate Jairzinho on the ground. So there's a possibility for a TKO or a submission or just a finish on the Blaydes side if you're looking for, a little extra money. But I will pick the safe route. I think Curtis Blaydes win this one by a decision.
Yeah, this one I think is a coin flip fight in terms of, each guy has their own, how do you think the fight is going to play out? You think Blaydes is going to wrestle fuck Jair, or do you think Jair is going to knock out Razor? So each guy, it's very tough. I can't really say for certain who's going to win where. I don't know. This is probably the toughest fight on the card. Like I said, it's 50-50 in my eyes. It all just depends. Hey, did Jair work on his uppercut? And how is I think the biggest thing is, how is his cardio? Does he have enough to withstand a few takedown attempts and piece up Curtis? Or did he not bother, working on grappling or wrestling defense and just thinks, he's going to go in there and just piece up Curtis, and Curtis isn't going to shoot for any takedowns whatsoever. Very tough. I have to go with Curtis, even though he's probably, every time I've gone with, no, not every time, but the times where I'm like, yeah, Curtis is going to take down Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis has no shot. Boom. Gets uppercutted to hell. This time he's gonna, he learned from his mistakes, and this time he's gonna take down Francis. And oh no, didn't take down Francis. Shit. Very tough. I'm gonna go with Curtis. I think.
Oh,
we just go with Curtis by decision. He's gonna take him down a few times. Jair is gonna be able to get back up and piece him up. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting fight, but I'm going to stay away from I'm going to stay very far away from this fight. I'm actually more certain about the next fight than I am this one.
You really? Because the next fight is at welterweight, Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 2, and I am not certain about this one whatsoever. And let's take a look at the odds, and the odds are interesting. They're a lot closer than what I would have predicted. I really thought that maybe Robbie would have been a minus 150. He's currently, depending on your bookie site, on the sports book, either a minus 120 favorite, roughly floating around the minus 120, and Diaz at a plus 100. Some places have him at a dead pick on minus 110, minus 110. So we'll go with those odds that Robbie Lawler is the betting favorite, which I think he should be on paper. Nick Diaz comes back plus 100. I don't know how to go about this one, just because They're both fucking old. They're both 38, 39. Robbie Lawler's been more active. He's been the UFC champion. He's fought way more times than Nick Diaz has in the last 10 fucking years. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? We've seen what Robbie Lawler has, I hate to say it, what he has digressed to. He was former champion, gets decisioned, beat up pretty badly by the former lightweight champion in Rafael dos Anjos 3 years ago. Very concerning, but yeah, chalk it up to him getting injured. He's still the same Robbie Lawler. The Ben Askren fight happens. He looked like a goddamn killer in that fight, but then he gets his watermelon head squeezed, and then Herb Dean stops it. Colby Covington, no. Well, did you know that was that's the reason that Herb Dean basically stopped it? He's like, well, I saw that video of Ben Askren squeezing a watermelon. So I'm like, man, this guy squeezes hard. I'm like, yeah, I get it. And yes, Robbie did kind of look like he went out, but you got to be a little bit more careful. It's just like retroactively going back. It's like, yeah, maybe you should have given Robbie a little bit more time seeing that what happened to Ben Askren after that. And then Colby Covington, no shame losing to Colby Covington. Neil Magny, man, that's when I'm like, man, Robbie Lawler has lost a step. He's fought really good competition, but Neil Magny, yes, he is in one of the best runs of his life, but yeah, Robbie is no longer the same Robbie. And Nick Diaz, huge question mark on this guy. Again, hasn't fought since he, what can I say? He went to a decision with Anderson Silva. He lost that decision, but it's considered a no contest because of boner pills and weed. Now, it's tough, man. It's really, really, really tough. I don't know what the hell Nick's been up to, but him coming back, of course, everyone wants to see Nick back. That first fight was awesome. Can't remember how many years ago it was, but back when Robbie had hair and Nick had less scar tissue, and that left hook that caught Robbie Lawler and just put him down. It was like, at the time, was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is what happened. Nick Diaz knocked out Robbie Lawler. It's like, damn, what an incredible thing to happen with a jiu-jitsu guy knocking out one of these most feared strikers in the UFC. And it's now one of these fights where it's two complete mixed martial artists. Robbie Lawler may not be as well versed on the ground as Nick Diaz is, but he's very, very capable with the takedown defense. His striking, of course, is legendary, right? He's a very aggressive guy. Fifth round Lawler is one of the scariest people on the planet because he will take your soul in the fifth round. And by soul, I mean take the split decision. And with Nick Diaz, man, his striking, of course, is very pitter patter, not even aggressive, but yeah, when he gets you up against the cage and he starts ripping to the body, this dude is one of the very few guys that Paul Daly actually respects because he went toe to toe with him and eventually knocked him out, man. That first round banger between him and Paul Daly, to this day, I remember streaming that. I mean, watching it on TV, and it was incredible. Like, I wasn't a big Diaz fan at the time, but that fight made me like, oh shit, Nick Diaz is a bad motherfucker. And to this day, I'm not like the biggest Diaz fan. I'm not going to like ride his balls like most people do on the internet, but I can at least respect the man's career. His personality is one of a kind. His fighting skill, man, he finds a way to win just like his brother. Certain people can clearly outmatch him, but this is a pretty good fight. It's very 50-50 in my opinion. It's hard for me to pick, but I think I'm going to go with Nick Diaz to win this one. I think the rest that he's had, the volume that he'll put on Robbie Lawler, Robbie, although he's been more active, he's taken a lot of punishment over the years. Nick's been relatively, good about his career. Hasn't taken a lot of damage other than in the face. Maybe the brains are a little scrambled, but yeah, I'll go with Nick Diaz. And again, this is just a blind pick because I don't know. These two guys are question marks. Nick Diaz can come in here super rejuvenated, looking like a world beater, knocks out Robbie Lawler again, or he looks incredibly so slow and Robbie Lawler just picks him apart and gets the decision. But I'll go with Nick to win this one by a decision. I think with his volume and his threat of the takedown and the submission, yeah, I'll go with Nick to win this one by a decision. But again, not very confident at all.
I'm actually going with Robbie here by decision. Yes, he's on a 4-fight losing streak. But if you take a look at his last 4 fights, he fought, a scruffy Rafael dos Anjos, who came to fight somewhat. That was a bad, bad call, against Ben Askren, because we know Ben Askren, he's, really got nothing to offer, but, some hugs on the ground. He lost to Colby. That's understandable. Colby's in his prime. He lost to Magny. Magny's, if you ever seen Neil Magny fight, you know what he's about. He's about keeping the distance, keeping the volume. He doesn't punch, and kick all that hard. He just punches and kicks a lot. So yeah, you can think that, oh yeah, that's sort of Nick Diaz's calling card, right? Volume punching. But the difference is that Neil Magny mixes it up. He has some takedowns. He's not really the most exciting guy to watch, but he is very consistent. Nick Diaz, on the other hand, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, the Nick Diaz of 2010, 2011 is going to come back and fight. No, that's a decade. That's a decade ago. Nick Diaz, since coming back into the UFC, for the few fights, he didn't really have a lot to show. Yeah, he beat up a BJ Penn that was way on his way out. Then he didn't do shit against Carlos, and even less against GSP. And then he got embarrassed. Well, I guess he kind of got embarrassed by Anderson Silva. He was just
he embarrassed himself, man.
Yeah, I mean, he was in there with Anderson, not in his prime, but still way more than enough to beat his dumb ass.
I was going to say, let me add, do you remember the time when Carlos Condit knocked out Nick Diaz in the second round? I remember.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible when he hit him with that knee and he knocked out Nick Diaz in the second round. I remember that.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't match up, that they never matched up Carlos and Nate. That would have been a fun fight.
That would have been a hell of a fight. Probably would have knocked out Nate Diaz in the second round with a flying knee.
Man. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. If they knocked him out for revenge, like, in 2013, 2014, be like, hey, man, you messing with my brother, you messing with me too.
Yeah, I'm surprised not a lot of people talk about the time Carlos Condit knocked out Nick Diaz with a flying knee in the second round of their fight. But go ahead and continue.
Well, I'm pretty surprised myself, to be quite honest. So anyway, I'm taking Robbie Lawler here because he's been more active, in these years that Nick has been jerking it outside of the octagon. Yeah, they're both old, but I think Robbie still has enough juice in him to bring the fight. And yeah, Nick is going to bring his patented volume punching, his body shots and whatnot. He's probably going to get Robbie against the cage, but Robbie, I think, still has enough in his gas tank to take out Nick. He's much improved from their first bout. When the hell was that? In 2004. Yeah, he's way, much improved. He managed to, actually beat, actually become UFC champion and beat the hell out of a lot of tough guys. He's been in, he's gone through several wars. I think the war that changed him for sure was the Rory McDonald and the Carlos Condit fights. I think those wars definitely wore on him, no pun intended.
What boils my blood, dude? That Robbie Lawler got knocked out by Tyron Woodley. That still to this day burns in such a way that my soul will never recover.
Yeah, that grinds my gears too. Tyron Woodley fucking losing to Jake Paul. He's fucking garbage. And then he's like, yeah, man, I won the rematch because it's like, bro, you had your chance. You acted fucking stupid and went back. He didn't train any boxing. He went back to his stupid, I'm going to put all my power into my overhand. And, oh, goddamn idiot. Anyway.
You know what buzz, just to get off topic, just pisses me the fuck off about Tyron Woodley. I don't like Tyron, never liked Tyron. But I would have respected him if he went through with that stupid fucking tattoo bet, because when you make a bet and you shake a man's fucking hand, you go through with that shit, regardless of how fucking stupid it is. the little bit of respect I had for Tyron, which was very minimal, now turned into negative respect because fuck that motherfucker. I'm very picky about when you shake a man's hand and you make a bet, you go through with it, no matter how stupid it is. If you didn't want to fucking do it, don't shake the man's hand. But yeah, fuck Tyron. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna get to that. He bitched out of that bet. That's even worse than losing to Jake Paul, like bitching out of a bet. And he's like, "No, I'll only put the tattoo on if he gives me a rematch." I was like, "What a bitch! Fuck that guy. He doesn't deserve a rematch." Anyway, so I'm going with Robbie. I think he's going to. I think this is probably one of Robbie's. I don't know what his contract and what the situation looks like for him, but I think this is probably one of his last, if not his last, maybe high-profile fight, against Nick. And I think he's gonna bring, man. He's gonna. It's wartime Robbie, man. He's. I'm anticipating, him just. Bringing it to Nick. Nick's probably going to survive, because I don't think Robbie's punches have what they had, back in 2016 and before that, when he was on his, insane run. But I think he's going to beat Nick's ass. Nick's just, I have no idea why Nick's back. It's probably money, and also to, keep himself relevant so that he can keep selling whatever he sells on his website with his brother. Which is fine. It's like all these guys, they're not, a lot of these guys they're fighting for money, but Nick, he's, according to, his own bullshit, if you believe it, he's earned the right to make millions upon millions of dollars just for showing up, because people are going to a certain extent, he's right. But, it's like, you gotta.
Kind of, yeah. I don't disagree, but I don't fully agree.
Yeah, he's not, you're not exactly seeing a prime guy. Anyway, so I think Robbie's going to take it. He's going to get a decision. It's going to be a war, and I'm looking forward to it.
I would love to see Robbie Lawler knock out Nick Diaz in the second round with the flying knee, but yeah, we'll see. But moving on to the co-main event: Valentina "Bullet" Shevchenko versus Lucky Lauren Murphy. God, these odds are going to be ridiculous when I look at them. Minus 1,200 for Valentina Shevchenko. Oh God, I'm coughing. Pardon me. Plus 750 for Lauren Murphy. And a lot of people have brought this up. You don't bet that kind of money on a fighter, especially a female fighter, if it's not one of the big two, Valentina Shevchenko or Amanda Nunes. Not worth it, of course. Whoever bets Valentina Shevchenko at those odds, I should say, is either super rich or super stupid. Not even worth really putting her on the parlay, although I fully expect her to destroy Lauren Murphy. Lucky no more, Lauren Murphy. Man, I'm going to say this right now. I am getting a pot ready to boil a hat, to eat it, if Lauren Murphy beats Valentina Shevchenko, because if she doesn't, I will eat that fucking hat. What are the paths to victory for Lauren? I don't know, because Valentina's so well-rounded. The striking does not compare. Valentina's striking is let's just say a 100 compared to the Lauren Murphy being like generously, let's give it to her at a 70 or a 65 out of 100. That's super generous. The grappling, you would think Lauren Murphy, Valentina, let's put her at an 80 to 90 compared to the Lauren Murphy. Let's go with an actual 70 to 80. Yeah, I don't see this happening whatsoever for Lauren Murphy. It would suck so bad if Lauren Murphy wins. Good for her if she wins, of course. Like, does she deserve it? No. Did she earn it? Yes. But for her to defeat Valentina Shevchenko and her to be champion would not be good for the UFC. I don't see it happening. I do think Lauren earned her title shot, but I'll put it to you this way. I saw this meme recently where it says like, good luck trying to find another girl like me. And then there's like the bottom portion of the meme where it's like a bunch of girls that look just like her. And I think I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like the Lauren Murphy said Valentina
No.
Shevchenko has not fought a girl like me. And then it's like every single girl that fights just like Lauren Murphy. And it's rinse and repeat for Valentina. She's going to she's going to have her way with Lauren. The only way Lauren really wins is if she lands a punch that Valentina doesn't see. If Valentina comes in sick and overconfident, is like, oh, I need a blood transfusion, but fuck it, I'll fight Lauren Murphy anyways. Maybe that's a possibility, but I don't see that happening whatsoever. Even the doctor's like, oh man, you're gonna die, you need a kidney. But I think it's okay. I think it's safe if you fight Lauren Murphy in the next 20 minutes. But yeah, man, Valentina's gonna just destroy Lauren any way she wants it. That's the way I need it. Any way she wants it. Then Valentina Shevchenko, third round knockout. And that's just me predicting, because this is one of these fights where Valentina can have it any way she wants it. If she wants to wait to the fifth round to submit Lauren Murphy, she can. I think the tag diminishes for a knockout as the longer the fight goes, because Valentina might just, I don't know, get some rounds in her. But Valentina, third round TKO is my pick. Good luck, Lauren. But yeah, no, ain't happening.
Well, the only so the only way. I'm sorry, dude. I'm going all Jimmy. What's his name? Jimmy Fallon on the shit, laughing at my own jokes before I even. Okay. So...
Oh, Jimmy, you were the worst of them.
All right, so
it better be good, man.
All right, so the only way Lauren Murphy wins this is if Antonina Shevchenko goes in there with a blonde wig, man.
All right.
Dude, if Antonina shows up with a blonde wig in the cage, you're gonna be like, "Hey, Valentina's looking a little, it's looking a little different today." It's like, what's that hump? If you see Valentina show up with a hump, a little bit slimmer, with the Muay Thai hump, I'd say, live bet on Lauren Murphy at that point. But that's the only way I see her winning, man. Is if Antonina goes in there with a blonde wig. Valentina, I'd say if for some reason she decides not to knock her out, it's really her choice. Man, can't go against Valentina, not with Lauren Murphy, dude. 38 years old, no way. I mean, sure, it's a long shot, and if somebody bets the house on Lauren, like, oh my god, it's if they all of a sudden scramble and then Lauren Murphy high kicks Valentina, then it's like, oh shit, it's like Holly Holm all over again. But that's not happening.
That would be the worst feeling in the world for me, like this nasty gut feeling. I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch?
No, she's not capable of that. If Holly Holm didn't do it, no fucking way he's doing it. So yeah, Antonina, man, let's reserve her for her own weight class, or is she in this weight class? I don't know. Who knows? Who cares?
Next bout, main event of the evening: Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Brian T. City Ortega. Very interesting bout, man. For real, this is a great main event. Been postponed. Ultimate Fighter happened. Now we got him. There's tension between these two guys. Volkanovski, the fucking overgrown midget, is angry at Brian Ortega just for being fake and late to shit. So I can't wait to see the face-offs and the interactions between these two during fight week. But the odds currently have it at kind of all over the place with this one. Let's go with DraftKings. They have it at minus 160 for Alexander Volkanovski. Come back on Brian Ortega plus 140. And this fight, I think we spoiled this one multiple times when we've discussed other fighters where they had multiple not multiple, but where they had a common opponent with either Volkanovski or Ortega.
Yeah.
This one is not going to come to a surprise if you've really been paying attention, but it's very fascinating between these two guys because Brian Ortega is mainly a jiu-jitsu guy, of course. Fantastic black belt. We've seen what he's capable of on his back, flying for a guillotine, just last second type of guy as well. Knocked out Clay Guida in the third round with a knee. This dude is never a guy you should count out. Even with his fight with Max Holloway, call me stupid as fuck because I probably was. His eye is swollen shut and he's getting his ass beat. I'm like, Brian, he still has a chance. I tell you, 5th round, come on. And yeah, no, it never came. The fight with Chan Sung Jung really opened up a lot of people's eyes. At least I'd like to think so. I haven't really heard a lot of commentary on this particular fight yet. I can't wait to hear other people's takes. But Brian Ortega, his striking has completely changed and been tightened up. In the past, as he's mentioned, he was training out of a garage. Now he's with an actual team. He's in Black House MMA. He is obviously an excellent, excellent jiu-jitsu practitioner. Man, this guy is not to be slept on. And I think everyone knows that. Alexander Volkanovski, he is a very consistent guy. He's not, pardon the pun, great everywhere, but he's good everywhere. He's good with the takedowns. He's a very powerful guy when it comes to grappling. Kicks are great. His leg kicks in particular are fantastic. He outkicked Jose Aldo, for fuck's sake. And then that was his primary weapon against Max Holloway the first fight. We'll talk about the second fight a little bit later, but he is the shorter guy. He, funny enough, has the longer reach, 69-inch reach for Ortega come back on. Volkanovski, 71 and a half. And we already know he trains with Izzy. So his striking it's not, of course, as dynamic as Izzy because he doesn't have the body type to pull off the type of shit Izzy does, but he is very capable on the feet. Now, most people might think Brian's only chance is to get it to the ground and go for a submission, and I disagree with that completely. I think Ortega's striking has really, really tightened up. What he did to Chan Sung Jung was very impressive. He looked like he flowed out there. He did the John Jones reverse back spinning elbow, really cracked Chan Sung Jung and put him on a different planet for the rest of that fight. And it really showed a maturity in him. And when I say maturity, I don't mean like outside of the cage, because outside of the cage, he's still kind of like a ruffian, when he slapped that Jay Park character, he kind of put a heel turn on Brian Ortega, but inside the cage, I think he's a lot smarter. And I see him actually, it is going to sound crazy, but I actually think he knocks out Volkanovski. I think Volkanovski is going to come in here very aggressive, very angry. Maybe not. But Brian Ortega, from what I've heard during their conference calls, talking to each other, he's always been really calm. Nothing really gets to him. As much as Volkanovski talks a lot of shit to him and calls him names, Volkanovski tends to kind of get a little too amped up. And Brian Ortega stays very calm. And I think his calmness is going to really translate well into the cage. And I think Volkanovski is going to really sleep on Ortega's striking, and he's going to get caught with something he's not expecting. And I think he's actually going to get put out. Volkanovski, his last fight with Max Holloway, I'll say it again, I put all my money that I had left over on that fight on Volkanovski. That was the first fight island fight where actually I lost a bit of money throughout the night. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going all in on Volkanovski to try to gain my money plus some. I don't want to complain, right? But I think he lost that fight. I made a lot of jokes with people like, no, Volkanovski won, trying to just piss him off. But to me, he did not look great. Yeah, he pulled it off. He used his veteran skills, right? He got the takedowns in the later rounds and just edged it out by the skin of his teeth. But I was not impressed by that performance. I was more impressed by Max. Max looked pretty good there, and then he looked amazing in his next fight after that. So personally, if they rematch again, I'm going Max all the way. Just those adjustments that we saw, some of the tells. If Alexander isn't able to get on those leg kicks, it might spell some issues with him. If Brian starts throwing leg kicks on him, it's just, I think Brian's going to come in here with more of a question mark surrounding his striking, opposed to Alexander. I don't think Alexander's going to come up with anything new or throw something different. I think Brian might. So I see Brian maybe catching him with a head kick and then finishing him up with strikes. Of course, the submission prop is always there if you want to take it, because I think Brian, if Brian is the smart competitor that I think he is, if he gets him hurt and if he gets a hold of that neck, it's a wrap. Alexander's not getting out of it. And I think they both know that. But I will go with Brian Ortega. From what I've seen, man, in the Ultimate Fighter, some of the striking drills he was doing with his guys, I was like, damn, Brian is like teaching striking, and he's teaching it well. And he seems to understand things a lot better now when it comes to setting up his strikes and his movement. So yeah, I think Brian, from the very little I've seen with his last fight and with the Ultimate Fighter footage, I think he catches Volkanovski. Again, second round knockout, Brian Ortega.
I'm actually going with Ortega by submission here. I think he's going to get him on the ground, scramble, and get him in a rear naked choke, probably in the third or fourth round. Yeah, Volkanovski's definitely gone downhill. He's not over the hill yet, but he's definitely going downhill. I think he definitively beat Holloway in the first fight. But in the second fight, I think Holloway did enough to win. But you know what? It is what it is. Holloway's probably going to be the next. If Ortega wins, I don't think they're going to give Volkanovski an immediate rematch. I think he has to win at that point, like go out and win one or two fights. And then it's going to be interesting if they match Holloway against, the new Ortega.
Oh yeah.
At that point, that'll be interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Don't really have much more to add. I just see with Ortega's newfound skill set, he sharpened up his striking, both his punches and his kicks. I think that's going to be, I see Volkanovski coming in, doing the whole, jab, cross, kick combo constantly. But I think Ortega is going to be wise enough to either back out, check the kicks, and then counter. And I think in one of their scrambles, maybe like I said, in the third or fourth round, against the cage, I think Ortega is going to be able to take it to the ground and get him scramble and then take it back, get a rear naked choke, and that's the end of it. I don't know if he'll be, because I think Volkanovski's tiny T-Rex arms are going to allow for an armbar. Or a triangle. I don't believe he'll be able to get Ortega on his back, like the ground and pound stuff. If he is, then I think Ortega might catch him in the triangle, but I don't think that's very likely. I think the more likely path is Ortega scrambles, gets his back, gets him in the rear naked, or even if he tires out Volkanovski, he does one of those jumping guillotines, that he's been known to do.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. That'd be crazy.
You know what a fun fact is that Brian Ortega's nickname is T-City. Contrary to popular belief, T in T-City does not stand for titty. It actually stands for triangle, because that's his favorite jiu-jitsu technique. Now you know. And I say Titty City because this motherfucker's been banging all these broads. And I'm like, God damn it, Brian.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's hope that didn't go to his head.
And those have been our picks for UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Definitely leave a like if you remember Norm Macdonald. Show him some love. And tell us what your favorite Carlos Condit memory and moment was in the comments below. Mine was when he knocked out Nick Diaz in the second round with a flying knee. Tell me if you remember that vividly. But once again, Johnny and Jose, Tiger Bomb MMA, and we'll catch you at the next fight.